Jessica, Kim? I want to be like, Amanda and Jessica. Don't ask me why. I just want to be like, I know your name is Kim, but Jessica just wanted to come out of my mouth so bad. I was like,
that's my
what
do you call
it?
Jessica is my
that might be because Spirit is telling you how I've been able to come forward and be a different person and have a different aspect and have a different view on things that have happened in my life, except for with one person, and her name is Jessica. She was actually the girl that was there when my brother died, and I've always blamed her. So,
well,
you might have picked that
well, let's go ahead, and Amanda, if you don't mind, let's work through this a little bit. Do you mind? Like, do you want to? This may help other people as well.
She needs
to. I might cry.
Well, that's okay. No one's pretty. I'm not pretty when I cry. I'm the ugliest crier in the world.
Oh.
So.
Oh, you should see me. It's awful.
So let's
Amanda,
just work through it just a little bit. Like we'll just kind of touch on it very lightly. Spirit's not going to make you go anywhere you don't feel comfortable. But here's the thing: you brought it up, so it came up for a reason. So let's go ahead and why do you blame this person? Why is it their fault?
Because my brother had stopped drinking. He drank really hard for a long time because he was overseas a lot, saw a lot of bad things when he was over there during the war, and so he drank a lot. But he knew that I was weighing heavily on his relationship with Jessica, and so he decided to start going to therapy with her and work on things and quit drinking. He had quit drinking for 2 months. And he started the doctor that he was seeing put him on some kind of depression pill for his PTSD. Well, he thought everything was going really good. He was about to get promoted to whatever's higher than staff sergeant, and then first sergeant. And he thought he had really got his life back on track. So he decided to propose to her, and he went out and bought her this really nice ring. And she threw it back in his face and said, "I don't want to marry you. That's not where I'm at." They've been together for 5 years. She said, "I don't want to marry you. I'm not in love with you." She told him that she'd been sleeping with his best friend, and just kind of threw him back in that bad place. And he started drinking. And he got really drunk that day and was texting her, trying to talk to her, asking her, "Can we please go to therapy? I need somebody to talk to." And she basically blew him off and told him to go to hell. And later that night, he shot himself. So I blamed her for a long time.
And he did have mix. He had the mix of the pills and alcohol in him too. So it wasn't like he wasn't really his self too.
Right. Well, understandable. So the first thing we have to look at is, when it comes to blame, you are blaming her for something you perceive that she did. And number one, she didn't even do it to you. She did it to, what we can perceive right now as your brother, which is, yes, I understand, a part of you, part of your family, all well, all good. However, what she did and the way that he reacted was his reaction, and the way that she reacted was her reaction. It has nothing to do with you. You are taking on responsibility for things that you have no reason to take responsibility for. You're believing it was on your head that all of this happened. It's not on your head, because really what you're doing, I think a lot of this blame, even though you're projecting it onto Jessica, it really comes from you. You're just trying to project it out because you blame yourself for not being there. You blame yourself for not being enough. And you blame yourself for, not being the best sister that you could be. And, and that's okay. You can, but what your ego is doing, because this is what the ego does. The ego projects its blame, its shame, its guilt onto another person so it doesn't have to deal with it. It says, no, it's not me. This is all her fault.
Talk about that. projecting guilt and shame. We talk about that a lot with people who's projecting it out towards us for their own insecurities, you know. So
the hard thing is with it, like, I noticed, especially with what I experienced last week, having to swallow the pill and understand, you know, from other people's perspectives and points of view. The hard thing for me is with Jessica, I know that, and I see it. I see that she wasn't to blame. She didn't pull the trigger on that gun. She just acted really shitty towards my brother, but he didn't have to react in the way that he did. And at the same time, yes, a lot of the guilt that I have towards myself, it's easier for me to project on her because of the way that she did act that day. It's just kind of turns the light to shine on her. But I know that it's still too big of a pill for me to swallow. It's like I know that, but I don't accept it yet.
Yeah.
Well,
I've talked to her about
we go into a state of denial. And, you know, denial, what happens is we push it to the back and into our subconscious mind, and then it starts to become part of our emotional vault. We all have an emotional vault with things that we have not looked at, things that we have pushed down. And, you know, often this is so beautiful that this is coming up today, because what are we in? We're in the blue, super mega amazing, you know, moon. So, you know, this is all coming up. And, you know, we have to empty out that emotional vault. Otherwise, it just gets stacked full. And then we have random outbursts of anger, or we go into depression, or we go into, you know, any of the other, you know, rage or this or that, you know, tons of different other things we go into. So, you know, once again, when you blame someone, like you said, you're just projecting that light onto them. So what I want to ask or invite you to do, are you willing to forgive her? And you can, if you can say, say no, it's okay. I mean, if you're not willing to right now, that's okay.
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, I want to be that person. I want to forgive her. I want to forgive anyone that I feel has done me wrong, but I feel like there's a process to it. I feel like I'm getting there, but I don't know, to be perfectly honest, if I'm at the point where I like emotionally can. It's just so hard. That's like the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Oh, I'm very sure.
Karen said that she thinks depression pills, alcohol combo, broken heart did it, all three. It was going to happen and you couldn't stop it.
And I know that too.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about that. She knows all this. She's not ready to forgive is the thing.
Well, and it's not even that you're not ready to forgive. You're not ready to let yourself go. You're not really ready to say, you know what? There was nothing I could do. Because what they're showing me now, and guys, this is just all part of the whatever, I don't even know. We'll just call it the process right now. You know, what they're showing me right now is that there are times when you go out to your backyard and you relive it. Like, and you go through it again and again and again. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to see if you could change it. If I would have done this, if I would have done that, if I would have said this, if I would have said that, if only, if only, if only. But here's the thing, that's part of the should-have, could-haves, and would-haves. And those you can't take those things. There's nothing for you to take. There's nothing for you to do. What has happened has happened. And you cannot change it as much as you want to. You can't change it, nor do you need to change it. See, what Jessica is for you, and you know, I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there that right now, this is not Ron Schaefer talking to you. And I hope that you realize that through this vibrational change that's happening. But what I want you to realize is that Jessica, for you, is a forgiveness opportunity. And it's a forgiveness opportunity for you to really forgive yourself and to really allow yourself to feel the guilt that you have projected for so long onto someone else. And, you know, you so desperately want to forgive, but then there is that ego part of your mind that says, if I forgive, then I'm saying what she did is okay. And that's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not about you saying what this person did was okay. What forgiveness truly is saying, I forgive this person because they didn't do anything. You know, you're willing to really give it, because do you know what forgive really means? It actually is from a form of the word forgo, which means to surrender. And you're just not ready right now emotionally to surrender, because see, we can know things mentally. Mentally, we know a whole bunch of concepts, but emotionally and physically, we hold on to things. And you know, this is part of where the fibromyalgia comes in, because you hold it and you're not willing to let it go. Every part of you hurts because you are projecting it out into all of your body and saying, I'm going to take that hurt. I'm going to allow that guilt, that shame, everything that he felt, I'm going to feel. And I'm going to process it for him. But you don't need to process it for him. There's nothing that you need to process. You need to process your own emotions. You need to process your own stuff. You don't need to worry about him. He's perfectly fine where he is. You know, he is back with the divine, and that's wonderful. And that's where he is. And that's what you have to accept. See, because there's still a part of you that's not willing to accept that. You're still a part of you that says, no, he's going to come through that door. And, you know, the only door he can come through is the door of spirit. That's it. And, you know, and that's actually a closer door than any physicality could ever bring. So, you know, really, this is your opportunity, you know, tonight, today, to really write yourself a little note. Write yourself, you know, write Jessica a note, you know, and you can go over all of the terrible things that, you know, you perceive that she did. And then you can go over all the things and look at that note and say, these are actually all the things that, you know, I may feel guilty for, not being there, for being a jerk, for being this, for being that, whatever the case may be. But this is for you to work through. And, you know, we can open the door, which we already have, and we have shown you. See, the tears are coming because it wants to come up, because the hurting wants to stop. God doesn't want you to hurt. See, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, it's God's will that this and God's will that. God's will is for perfect happiness. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Perfect happiness. So, you know, Jessica, for you, and, you know, even saying her name, I would love for you, I really invite for you, instead of saying Jessica, I invite for you to just say her name, Jessica, you know, in a loving way, that you would say my name, that you would say Kim's name, and really giving that love to her, you know, because the more you blame her, the more you project that guilt out, you've noticed over time that the pain has gotten worse. You know, anytime you see her, that pain just rises up like a bubbling volcano. Even the mere name, you know, that you see, it doesn't even matter if it's even spelled the same way. You hear the name and you automatically go into defensive mode of, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready. You want to go? You want to go 10 rounds? Let's go 10 rounds. And, you know, you don't need to go 10 rounds, because the only person you're really fighting is you're fighting yourself. And that's it. So I want to ask you, are you willing to surrender this situation?
Yes.
And are you willing to recognize the emotions that are coming up right now? And if I were to ask you, what are the emotions that are coming up right now?
Anger and sadness.
Why the
Heartache.
anger?
Honestly, not at her, at me for holding on to it for so long.
Okay. Are you willing to forgive yourself for projecting that anger and holding it on for so long? You know, really, what is anger? Just like the Buddhists say, you know, when you hold anger, it's you're drinking poison and you're hoping someone else will die. So are you willing to stop drinking that poison? Okay. And the sadness, what's the sadness from?
I don't know.
Is it from accepting the loss that he really is gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Then just process that. Be, you know, you're there with Kim. She's there to support you. She's there to help you. And, you know, be willing to, you know, just let it all out and be willing to just let it go. Be willing to surrender, because that's what needs to happen. And I just send you all my love. I am here if you need me.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
That's pretty bad, because every time I go through situations like this, I always have to go to Ron.
It was meant to be today, right, Ron?
Right.
It was meant for her to come. We're actually going to get our nails done today. It's our nurturing day. You know,
wonderful.
We're giving back to ourselves. There's a lot of people who have commented. Let's see. Holly says that I've had a lot of guilt about my brother's current circumstances and have been projecting it onto my sister-in-law. This really hit home in my emotional vault. Thank you for being open, Amanda. Michelle said, she's blowing noses, good. Michelle said, sending you much love, Amanda. Hugs, Amanda. Holly said, sending you much love. Jane said, hi, Ron. I've been through so much in my life. I just want the suffering to stop. Jane Foley.
Well, Jane, the suffering will stop when you are ready to stop the suffering. Suffering only happens because you are giving it permission. Nothing happens to you without your permission. No matter what it is, you gave permission in some way, shape, or form for that suffering. And so what I invite you to do, you need to change the way that you are thinking about your current circumstances, and you need to offer yourself forgiveness and offer anyone else who you believe is in charge of this suffering, because God would never have you suffer.
Karen said, yes, so true. I've been emotionally hurting for years, and it has literally done so much damage to my body. She was talking about the fibromyalgia. Mm-hmm. And then Jane says, I am a born survivor after everything that happened to me, and it was not God's will what happened to me.
Right. Yeah, it's not God's will that anything bad happens to you. We bring it on to ourselves. And it's not to punish yourself. It's not to say that you are a terrible person for bringing these things to yourself. All you're doing is you are in an attempt to really, you know, just remember your perfection. You know, so many people go throughout life, you know, blaming God. God has nothing to do with this world except for the miracles. That's it. That's all he has to do with this world. And really, the miracles are not done from him. They are done through us. Because, see, you know, there's an old adage that says God can only help those who help themselves. And, you know, we really need to flip that adage on its head and say, God can only help you for what you will allow him to do through you. So what are you allowing God to do through you? Are you going to allow God to work miracles? Are you going to be a miracle worker? Because miracles are involuntary. That's what they are. They're not under your conscious control at all. And they don't need to be under your conscious control. Because if we look at our consciousness, number one, consciousness is a construct of the ego. And the highest point that the ego consciousness can get to is that Christed consciousness or Buddha consciousness, enlightenment, however you want to call it. That's the highest that it can go. And then we take the last, you know, God takes that last step. So, you know, right here, right now, what I really want to offer everyone, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this today, is, you know, I want everyone to close your eyes, okay? And we're all going to do this together. Okay, first I'm going to do a little bit of toning just to kind of set the stage, okay? And I will guide everyone through the whole process. So just keep your eyes closed until you are invited to open them again, okay? And now all I invite you to do is I want you to see those people that you think have done you wrong. Those people that you think have wronged you. Those people who have prolonged your suffering. Those people who have pained you. Those people who have hurt you. And as you see those people in your mind's eye, I want you to go ahead and I want you to put little bubbles of thought around them. I want you to say all the things that they did to you, all the ways they hurt you, all the ways they were terrible to you. And now all I ask is that you begin to see that that person is not who they really are. This is just a projection. Their body is an illusion. And what I want you to do, I want you to walk through that illusion. And as you walk through that illusion, you lose your illusion of your body. And all you see is a brilliant, bright light in front of you. This is who they really are. And this is who you really are. You both are spirals of beautiful, dancing, golden light. And I want you to realize that this person, this ball of light, didn't do anything to you, and it never could, and it never would, because it is you. And I want you to merge with that light. And then what I want you to do is I want you to shine that light on that projection. And as you shine your light on that projection, you begin to see all of those bubbles disappear. And what we're going to do is we're going to see that person as the Christ. We're going to see them bathed in gold, because this is who they are. This is who you are. And then what I want you to do is I want you to stand in front of that golden Christed being. And I want you to repeat after me in your mind or aloud the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And then we're going to see another projection. We're going to see you. And you can see the physical body. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same process again. You're going to say all the things that you perceive that you have done to yourself or to others. And then you're going to walk through that projection. And you're going to see that that projection is not really you. You are the Christed light, just as that other being. And now that projection of you, however you see yourself, is now changed to the golden Christed energy. Now stand in front of your golden Christed self. And once again, we repeat the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And just sit with your Christed self for just a moment as we begin to tone once more. And you are now free to open your eyes, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and come back to the room.
It just popped up on the screen that Ron Schaefer is watching. Bring him on camera.